Lou had always been a man who valued freedom above all else. A successful entrepreneur, he had everything he needed in his fast-paced life, except for one thing: love. And yet, it was love that came to him when he least expected it. It happened on a warm Italian afternoon, as he set sail on a small, sleek sloop, the boat cutting through the tranquil waters of the Mediterranean. He had been on many dates before, enjoyed casual relationships, but none of them had ever made him feel alive in the way Antonetta did. He first saw her when she joined him on the boat, her long, dark hair blowing in the wind, her eyes sparkling with a mixture of mischief and something deeper. As they set sail, Lou couldn't help but admire her beauty, but it was her presence that left him speechless. Antonetta was confident, sure of herself, and yet there was a warmth to her that drew him in. Their journey together began with playful teasing. Antonetta, lying on the front deck, applied sunblock to Lou's back. The intimate moment between them, where their fingers brushed and their eyes met, was charged with unspoken attraction. It didn't take long for their flirtation to turn into something more. After an innocent kiss, Antonetta pulled back, thanking him for being brave enough to be with her despite the shadow her family cast over them. Despite the intensity of their brief encounter, Lou knew that this was just the beginning. Over the following days, their connection deepened. Antonetta, a beautiful and mysterious woman, carried the weight of her family's legacy with grace. Her grandfather, Don Enzo, was an imposing figure in the Italian underworld, and it was clear to Lou that Antonetta was not just any woman. She was part of something much bigger. But Lou couldn't help falling for her. As they shared long walks around the villa, they talked about everything, from their childhoods to their dreams for the future. Antonetta became more than just a beautiful woman to him. She became a woman who understood him in ways no one else ever had. But as their bond grew, so did the looming presence of Don Enzo. Lou was torn between his feelings for Antonetta and the uneasy tension of her family's world. Days turned to weeks, and before long, their time in Italy came to an end. The night before Antonetta and Gina were to return to their life across the ocean, Lou found himself alone with her, walking along the moonlit shore. Antonetta, with a heavy heart, confessed that she would miss him but couldn't imagine life with someone like him. They kissed goodbye, but it wasn't a final goodbye. Lou knew that the connection they had wasn't something that could be easily broken. Back home in the States, Lou struggled with the emptiness that followed their separation. The days seemed longer, the nights colder. He threw himself into work, but it was clear to everyone around him that something was missing. He couldn't stop thinking about Antonetta. Her laughter, her kindness, the way her eyes sparkled when she talked about Gina, he missed it all. He had to see her again. One fateful day, an envelope arrived. It was from Don Enzo, and it was clear that Antonetta and Gina missed Lou just as much as he missed them. He read the letter over and over again, each time his heart racing faster. They were coming for Christmas. When they finally arrived, Lou's heart was racing with anticipation. It was Thanksgiving, and the family was hosting their annual celebration at one of the family-owned restaurants. It was the tradition to invite everyone, relatives, friends, employees, anyone who was part of their extended family. As Lou sat at the head of the table, half listening to his uncle's usual speech, his attention was suddenly drawn to the entrance. His heart skipped a beat when he saw Don Enzo walking in, flanked by his family. Antonetta and Gina were with him, and it felt like time had stopped. Lou's gaze immediately landed on Gina, who, with a burst of excitement, started running toward him. She broke free from Antonetta's hand, her little legs carrying her as fast as she could go. When she reached Lou, she leapt into his arms, calling out in broken English, "Hi, Daddy." The room erupted in applause, and Lou, speechless, stood frozen in the moment. But then Antonetta reached them, and Lou found himself holding the two most beautiful women in the room, his future, all in one embrace. The evening unfolded like a dream. Lou and Antonetta shared a meal, laughter filling the air, with Gina sitting on Lou's lap, trying to feed him but making a mess in the process. The joy of the night was palpable, and as the evening went on, Lou couldn't help but feel a sense of peace. This was where he belonged. Later, when the evening had wound down and the celebration came to a close, Antonetta and Gina stayed at Lou's apartment. He carried Gina to the guest room, noticing that the small pink luggage was a sign that their visit was planned in advance. Lou, still reeling from the evening's events, changed into comfortable clothes and prepared for a quiet night. But as he walked into his room, he noticed a larger set of luggage. Antonetta had already made herself at home. After a long day, Lou needed a shower. He stood under the warm stream of water, letting it wash away the chaos of the evening, when the door opened, and Antonetta stepped in. They shared a playful, teasing moment under the water, their laughter echoing through the bathroom. But the passion between them could no longer be contained, and what followed was a night they would both never forget. In each other's arms, they found comfort, desire, and something deeper than either of them could put into words. The next morning, they woke to the sound of Gina calling for her mother. Antonetta quickly threw on a cotton nightgown, rushing to comfort her daughter. Gina, still groggy from sleep, looked up at the two of them and sweetly asked if she could sleep with them. And so, the three of them, along with Gina's stuffed animal, Pino, found themselves tangled together in Lou's bed, the warmth of their bodies creating a sense of peace Lou had never known. But as the days passed, Lou realized that he wanted something more. He wanted a life with Antonetta and Gina, but Antonetta hesitated. She was afraid of the commitment, afraid of the ties that bound her family to a dangerous world she wanted to escape. Lou could sense that something deeper was bothering her, something she hadn't yet shared with him. Finally, one evening, as they sat together on the balcony, Antonetta revealed her fears. She held a set of papers, a symbol of the past that had haunted her. With a trembling voice, she asked Lou about his first wife and the tragic accident that had taken her life. Antonetta needed to know the truth. She needed to know if Lou or her grandfather had been involved in her wife's death, and more specifically, the death of the unborn child. Lou explained everything, the events surrounding Sophia's death, the way Don Enzo had promised not to act until after the baby was born, and how the child had been placed with a family Lou trusted. But Antonetta still couldn't shake the fear that her family might have been involved in something darker. Just then, Don Enzo appeared on the balcony. He raised his hand for silence and took control of the conversation. He confirmed Lou's story but then added something that would forever change their lives. He revealed that Sophia's lover had been dealt with, but Sophia and the baby had been kept hidden until the birth. The truth was darker than Lou had realized, but Enzo assured Antonetta that the baby, Gina, had been given to a good family. Antonetta, overwhelmed, gasped when she realized that Gina was the child in question. Her eyes filled with tears as the weight of the truth crashed down on her. But Don Enzo, ever the patriarch, asked Lou if he had any problem raising Gina. Lou, without hesitation, answered that he would love her as his own. Then, turning to Antonetta, Enzo asked if she had any problem accepting Gina as her own daughter. Antonetta, still in shock, whispered that she loved Gina as her own. Don Enzo, with a knowing look, turned to Lou and Antonetta. "Now, Lou, were you going to ask her again?" he asked, his voice filled with warmth. Antonetta, tears streaming down her face, turned to Lou and whispered, "I promise I will accept the very next time you ask me." Without a second thought, Lou dropped to one knee, his heart racing as he asked Antonetta to marry him. She nodded through her tears, whispering yes. It was then that Lou knew, for the first time in his life, he had everything he needed. Love, family, and a future that was full of promise.